This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
All right, we're going to do a little bonus content, in part because I spoke passionately last week about the NFLPA's collusion scandal with Lloyd Howell, and there have been some further developments, and I think we need to pick up. And I think the reaction to some of this stuff is interesting, and I just wanted to weigh in once again. So, Charlie, give us what we need to know, please.
Yeah, so the update on this is ESPN and Adam Schefter have reported that the NFLPA leadership is backing Lloyd Howell. I'm going to read the statement really quickly. As members of the NFLPA Executive Committee, we categorically reject false reports insinuating doubts within the committee or suggestions that we have asked our executive director to step down. We further reject attempts to mischaracterize the committee's views or divide our membership. We've established a deliberate process to carefully assess the issues that have been raised and will not engage in a rush to judgment. We believe in and remain committed to working with our executive director, who's Lloyd Howell, and other members of the NFLPA staff and player leadership who have a shared mission to advance the best interests of players. As we approach the 2025 season, we look forward to continuing our important work together and ensuring the strength and unity of our association.
All right. So I think first I want to start with, I was a leader in the union, and I've always been kind of quiet about anything that happened in the union up until last week. I never said anything until last week, in part because as someone who held positions of leadership in the union before, it was always upsetting when former players or former leaders wanted to weigh in on things that they didn't have complete information on. And I would always expect the benefit of the doubt, and I'd get it sometimes and not always get it. Mm-hmm. So I think I want to extend, so my feelings about Lloyd Howell, based on the information that's out there, haven't changed. But I don't think I was clear about my feelings about the player leaders and some of the staff at the union. It's I believe that a lot of people there are there for the right reasons. And I do want to extend the benefit of the doubt to the player leadership. And when you're reading that statement, I'm not going to argue that that statement is perfectly written and completely clear. But I will say that the core of the statement is something that I strongly believe in. And I think it fundamentally underlines exactly what a union is supposed to do. When players, and this is separate, but I think it speaks to the character of a union. When players get in trouble or get accused of something, I often have to remind people that the job of the union is not to defend this particular player, but it's to defend the process. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes when players do things that are reprehensible, and they get a suspension, it feels silly for the union to try to defend them. But I have to remind people that the union's job is to protect the process. And I know in the heat of the moment, it feels like the right thing to do is to act quickly. We learned this the hard way. It feels like the right thing to do is to act quickly. But there's no reason that you have to act quickly. The right thing to do is to protect the process, because that the process is all that will endure. Because if you, in a moment of haste and anger and a whirlwind of media around you telling you what to do, you subvert whatever processes you have in place, then when the next time comes around and there's a situation that you should not act as hastily, you've already set the precedent that it's okay to throw processes out. And we don't want to get into some big sociological or psychological or political conversation, but I will say that I think process matters, and I respect the idea that the union, because they haven't said that they aren't going to make a decision. Mm-hmm. We found out through Don Van Natta's reporting that they've hired an outside lawyer, the union leadership, the players. Mm-hmm. Hired an outside lawyer to run an investigation. This was before all of the reporting came out. They had already started doing that because of the FBI investigation into the Players Inc. the One Team initiative. So all that stuff was already in place. Nothing's changed for the player leaders. I don't know what their process is, but they decided on a process and they hired a lawyer to help them through that process. The only thing that's changed is we found out.
Yeah.
And
and
media.
And the players.
Yeah.
I mean, you are we as the players. You are we as a union representative.
I'm not a player.
But
I don't,
a former,
right.
You could do the
The
royal
active
we with
players,
that, but like they found out, and we're seeing that it's starting to ripple effect where for a couple weeks players didn't really pick up on this story, and we're now seeing that flood social media.
So they're at a dangerous time. Like they know it. Like, and it's always going to be like this. It's never going to be a situation where being a leader of the union, like this is what you sign up because you care about it. And I don't think you anticipate exactly what the tumult is going to be, but you know it's going to come. When I was a leader, like Gene died, and then there's a lot like the concussions reporting started to come. Like there are going to be things that come up that you're not expecting, but to be able to stand strong and follow your process in those situations, I do think is a sign of good leadership.
Yep.
You look.
I have a bunch of questions.
Okay, I'm rambling and ask your question.
No, it's just that so this is what JJ Watt tweeted, which is he had the quote, "We categorically reject false reports insinuating doubts," and also the quote, "We've established a deliberate process to carefully assess the issues that have been raised and will not engage in a rush to judgment." And he said, those are contradicting statements. So my question is like, I understand the process stuff, and I understand that you set a bad precedent if you act too hastily, but isn't also the goal of the union to do what's right for the players?
Absolutely.
And isn't Lloyd Howell being there, or Lloyd Howell and JC Tretter, if what we have learned about this stuff, we sort of know it's true.
So, I mean,
does that mean that they cannot act they're acting in the best interest of themselves instead of the players?
I think that, and again, I'm being careful not to tell anybody what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a reasonable thing to ask the executive director who is under investigation to step down while the investigation goes on. Like, I believe that's completely reasonable. I think that there are several times that I was quiet and the process was circumvented prior to this, that it's encouraging to see that they're following a process now.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think that what JJ Watt pointed out is a contradictory statement. Like, I don't see that as a contradictory statement.
Yeah.
I get his point is like, if you're acknowledging that there's something that needs to be investigated, you can't also stand
logical fallacy.
Yeah. behind something. But like, as long as he is there, I guess that's the point. As long as Lloyd Howell is there, I think it's responsible for the players to be behind him.
Yeah.
Whether he should be there or not is not up to me.
Yeah.
It's up to the players. And ultimately, I think it's scary when something like this is going on as a leader, but it also is a big thing that gets people's attention.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the result of this is going to be, but it can be a galvanizing moment for the players in the union to take more power and get control of the union, which is like ultimately what it should be. It should never be where it feels like now that there are players outside who don't know what's going on and they point at the union and say, what are they doing? No, it's your union. You should take control of it.
And so there's a bunch of stuff there, because also I'm glad you pointed this out at the beginning of your statement, because it's something I think that we should have done in our last episode was we talked about the PA and the union and Lloyd Howell and JC Tretter too holistically, like they're one thing,
right?
Where it's like the vast majority of the union and the players, it's like very altruistic. They're trying to protect the players. They're trying to do the right thing on all this stuff. And they're always going to be bad actors. And like, those are the things that we wanted to be excised if they're proven to be bad actors in this. But we also know that the PA is largely a group of lawyers, and they probably want this to be airtight before they make a decision. So do you think this is a stall tactic, or is it a Hail Mary to try and keep JC in this organization?
Or you said when I think that they're both, right? It's like,
and
you're saying it's a stall tactic. Is it a stall tactic
or a Hail Mary to keep them? Is it a stall tactic before they can like make sure it's airtight to remove them?
I guess
it's buying them time.
I guess I get what you're saying. I can only take them for their word, man.
Yeah.
Like the tough thing about this is as it gets closer to the season, once that starts, the guys who are normally there to get engaged or to be engaged have other things that take more of their attention. We always talk about how transient the NFL is and how young the members are, which means like so many of the members are worried about making a team, getting to their second contract. Those things are consuming a lot of their time before you even get to like life and family and all that other stuff. And then that's the point of the union staff, It's not. It's so that you don't have to worry about those other things.
Yeah.
And so the idea that if they're going to push this decision, I guess that's what I would ask, or that's what I would want if I was a player, is like a actual deadline.
Yeah.
It's like, when's the decision going to be made? Don't stall this investigation or whatever until after we're in training camp, when I'm more concerned about my roster role than I am about what's happening with the union.
Yeah. And it just, I don't know, to me, like I would never disagree with you on these things. It's just that like it also feels like we have a lot of the facts about this. Like we have the way that seems unethical that JC Tretter put Lloyd Howell in office. We know that he is an advisor and consultant for the Carlisle Group, which is bought into NFL teams, which already creates a
Lloyd Howell is,
which already creates a massive conflict of interest. We know that it appears that the way he was elected felt conspiratorial from Tretter. And to me, it's like
collusion stuff too.
Yeah, and the collusion stuff. And to me, I would ask we know that the mechanism of removal is a vote, and that's hard to organize, and they want these things to be airtight when they get to a vote so that they don't, pull the trigger on that too early and he's not removed, or it's not the right thing to do. But to me, this seems like one of those things where the cover-up can almost be worse than the original sin of the question, because like what's important right now? Time to fix it. Like this has to go, like you said, it has to go quickly. And this is a union that, like, I know you think that it's probably the best organized sports union, even if it's not as powerful as like the baseball one or the basketball one in certain ways, but it's incredibly well organized, but it's over leveraged by the nature of the sport and by the league. And if you hemorrhage any credibility and you lose leverage by becoming something that doesn't protect the players the way it's supposed to in a league that needs it, isn't that like something that could in a really long term, you say galvanize, but the other side of that is it could have like incredibly deleterious effects long term.
Which is why I think that the process needs to be careful. Like I think that all the ducks have to be in a row. Like they don't, hiring an outside firm to execute an investigation is the right thing to do. Making a decision sooner than you had planned on making a decision, unless you're forced to do it, I don't know that it's the right thing to do. I think the most important thing is giving the players an understanding of when these decisions are going to be made. And I think now this is going to get a little bit like broader, but generally at this point in my life is I think everybody thinks that maybe they're a little smarter than they actually are. And this is not just like the union, just in general. Everybody want to be Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
Just be honest. Be straightforward. I know that when you go into a room full of players or a locker room or a meeting room and you're talking to players, that one of the things that you want to do is to give them confidence in you. And you want to give them confidence in you because you promise them that the ideas that you have and the execution that you will bring to this job is going to work wonders for them. I think this is where sports is always a great analogy. You're a manager, a coach. What matters is the players. You can have the best philosophy and strategy ever. Fundamentally, what matters is that the players are willing to sacrifice for the greater cause. I think to your point, right now it does feel like whatever goodwill that the player body at large has towards the union, it feels fractured. Rushing to fix that does not resolve the fracture. They're going to have to resolve the fracture over time. And I think the first step to resolving whatever fractures exist is exhibiting that the player leaders have this under control and they are not going to be pushed or controlled by anyone else. They're going to go through this process the way that it's designed to go through the process. And then from there, they'll make further decisions that involve as many of the players as possible. I think I recognize that I'm biased and I'm viewing this from my former president.
No. This is the because it's easier for me to be biased on the other side and be like, get him out of here.
It's easy for me to do that too, but I think because I'm not going to defend Lloyd based on the reporting that's out there. Like I can't do that.
Well, and that's also the point that we're trying to make with all of this is that the union isn't Lloyd Howell.
Right. Yeah. I can't do that. But I will. There's no reason to believe, as of now, there's no reason to believe that the executive committee, which is 10 vice presidents, and the president are involved in some sort of conspiracy.
Totally. Yeah.
Which I think that some people are
conflating those.
Yeah,
sure.
are viewing the statement as a suggestion that they are backing Lloyd. I know that it says that they are looking to support Lloyd, but it also says that they're carrying out an investigation.
Yeah.
So again, I don't think the statement is worded particularly well. And I think that a deadline or like a timetable on this date, we will have whatever would be nice. But there's no reason to believe that the players are there. And I think because we've been reading and listening to podcasts that explain how corrupt, frankly, Lloyd and other members of the staff are, that the next step is like, well, the whole union ain't like, it's not true, especially the guys who are still playing. They're still putting on helmets. They're still making plays. They are not making some long-term strategic plan to upend the union. I think that we should respect that and support them and encourage them. And I think behind the scenes, the actual players, like not former players like me, actual guys who are actually in locker rooms with powers, and obviously not the younger guys who don't have as much power and influence who are worried about these other things. The other guys in the locker room who are stars or veterans and know what this is supposed to be like. Like, we're not that far removed. Those guys are the guys that are, I'm sure, behind the scenes being active in making sure that this process is being run properly.
See where it goes.
See where it goes. Appreciate it, Charlie. We out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.